Hello and welcome to In the Envelope, an awards podcast. I am your host, Jack Smart, awards editor at Backstage. I'm here to give you a front row seat to the industry's most exciting awards races. Who is in the running? What makes awards-worthy film and television? How can you, listener, win a statue of your own? We're sitting down with actors to get that insider's perspective on these questions and more, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get a tantalizing glimpse in the envelope.
You wake up in the morning and you know you want to do it, and it doesn't matter. You'll go broke. You'll Jackie Chan your underwear over and over and over again. To do it, you'll do it. Nothing will stop you.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was Keala Settle, a beloved performer of me and of many Broadway audiences, and anyone who's been lucky enough to see her perform live, and also someone who a lot of people are about to discover because she is in the upcoming 20th Century Fox film, The Greatest Showman, which is about the life of P.T. Barnum, and she has a scene-stealing performance as the bearded lady. And I just know, Jamie, that people are going to be looking her up and wondering who this fantastic, fabulous, talented woman is.
Yeah, it seems like she's going to be pretty huge. I mean, she's obviously got this sort of small but rabid following already.
Yeah, she's wonderful. I've seen her on Broadway in Hands on a Hardbody, for which she was nominated for a Tony Award. She was most recently in Waitress. She's also been in Hairspray and Les Mis and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. So she's done those rounds, and it's only fitting, I think, that her first kind of huge role on the big screen or like in that world is in a movie musical. Yeah. And in fact, in an original movie musical, which I'm so excited to see. It's coming just in time for, the holidays.
I thought you were going to say she was in a scene-stealing beard.
Yes, she did. We didn't talk about the beard very much, but she's the legendary, the famed bearded lady in this movie. And beyond that, I don't actually know a lot about it.
Yeah, we haven't seen it. Neither of us have seen it. And you said she hadn't seen it either?
She has not seen it either. But she also, she just left the studio to go rehearse this big number that they're performing at Bloomingdale's. So like the cast is part of their press tour for this movie is to go do these big musical numbers live. Just like also to let listeners know, I am from Honolulu, Hawaii. Keala is from Laie, Hawaii. We're from the same island growing up. So I don't know, Jamie, did you follow at all? We slipped into some local colloquialisms a little bit.
It was entertaining. Whether or not it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Kama'aina listeners, you will know what we're talking about. But for those of you who don't know what a spam musubi is, you can go look it up.
I gathered that that's some kind of food based around spam.
Yes. Oh, so you know what spam is. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Spam is very, very Hawaiian. Yeah. Yeah, and Cal is one of a couple like Polynesian performers in and around the Broadway community who I've just been dying to talk to, and this was just the greatest interview. It was just such a joy to sit here and talk to her.
Well, I think probably without further ado, we should get to it.
Yeah, let's do a quick intro for Keala and then introduce audiences to her and to this wonderful interview. Keala Settle is known to Broadway audiences for her Tony-nominated turn in Hands on a Hardbody, as well as other musicals, everything from Hairspray and Les Misérables to, most recently, Sarah Bareilles' Waitress. She now stars in the upcoming 20th Century Fox film, The Greatest Showman, which stars Hugh Jackman as P.T. Barnum. Here it is, my interview with Keala Settle. Keala Settle.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a long time coming. Mahalo nui loa for joining us. I want to hear your life story.
Okay.
but also to hear about The Greatest Showman. First, actually, okay. Greatest Showman is your second feature film, is that right?
It is. It is.
And the first was Ricky and the Flash.
It was.
Starring Meryl Streep.
Not too shabby, yeah.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. It was, I think, one of the, if not the last film that John Demme did.
That's right. Yeah. I
peace.
interviewed him for that movie.
Did you really?
Now I treasure that. Yeah.
It was an awesome time.
Sure.
And I got to spend about 3.5 weeks on that set.
With Meryl.
Yeah, and Rick and the band and so many of his close and personal friends, John Demme's close and personal friends that were working on set as well. And they were so kind to me and very much let me watch and kind of soak in what was happening because I didn't know that world very much. And so they would give me a pair of cans and say, come have a seat, watch the monitors if you want when I wasn't on set. And I loved every minute of it.
Oh, okay. That was your introduction to the film.
Oh yeah,
world.
And of course Meryl Streep's a masterclass.
Yeah,
to just watch her. It's
Whoa.
Just both on camera and off. She's. I want to be like her. Duh.
I mean, yeah.
Who doesn't?
First, what a feature film debut to have.
Yeah.
And then I believe you have one TV credit, and so this Greatest Showman really is your big transition from stage to screen. Yeah.
This fully sounds daunting when you say it like that.
I know. Well, so you've been a Broadway star for...
Not even.
You're a Broadway star. You're a Tony-nominated star.
What?
And so how do you transition, or how did you... I mean, other than that's actually helpful to sit there and watch the whole filmmaking process and to watch Meryl Streep do her work. But what is it like? I
don't know if it was a transition more or less than it was... when you're hustling on Broadway and you have the opportunity to be in a production, and then what happens is once the production opens, you immediately start hitting the pavement again and looking for more work and trying to do readings and presentations wherever you can, whether it's through the agency that is representing you or through the casting directors that you know, or both. Wow. And so you do that during the day if you can book something, and then go to work again at night, which is your, quote unquote,
8
real
times
job.
A week.
Yeah.
Nuts.
But that's the nature of it. That's why it is #Broadway is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Totally.
It's hard, and it's worth it. It's worth every second of it if you get that opportunity. I loved it. I love it and miss it so much because of how much discipline it gave me. And But in that time, I was doing Les Mis, I think in 2014. Okay. And I got a call from someone at Telsey saying, we need someone to read the part of the bearded lady for a reading. There's a presentation that we're going to do. It's really short, maybe like a week. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Sure.
I mean, because you hustle, what's the check? Okay, great.
Right.
The check at the end, it'll be great.
There you go. Yeah.
Here's half my rent, the end.
Yeah.
And we did it, and here comes Hugh Jackman walking in, just finishing Pan, the film that he had just finished, and completely almost bald because he was bald in the film.
Wow.
And learning some of this music, and it was a musical. Yeah. And I didn't know that it was a screenplay that we were actually testing out and putting on its feet.
I see.
It was just made up of very few people. And
it was written as if it was just going to be a stage play, a stage musical?
No, as an actual film.
Oh, okay.
And so we were actually gathering to see if it actually had legs.
I see.
And that happened for, a couple times, and then cut to, we had what ended up being a final presentation. Yeah. And if there's a transition, then I guess that was it. But that wasn't really a transition. It was just, I happened to be there. It all happened. The music was incredible and is incredible. Yeah. And the vibe for the film came to life in that room at Pearl Studios. I mean, the walls were crawling with people. Just cool. Executives, choreographers, music people, acting coaches, vocal coaches, and everyone else that was wanting to be involved in the creation of this film that we didn't know was going to happen. Yeah. And then that day, it all just gelled. Everybody was dialed in, and that's when it started. That
was 3 years ago.
No, that was the last one. Ended up being the last reading that we did was in 2015 or 16, I think, beginning of 2016.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And so a movie musical, I mean, I guess that's not a typical. That's also not a typical transition to film.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be back in the day. I mean, those were all Billboard chart numbers and stuff like that. And 20th Century Fox was famous for stuff like that. I mean, you're looking at all your Betty Grable films, who I am an incredible fan of. Always was a big fan of her. I remember watching videos of her on American Movie Classics, which is what it used to be called before it was called Turner Classic Movies, and recording these films at like 1 a.m, you know, Call Me Mister or Meet Me After the Show. And then the next morning just getting excited to wake up so that I could rewind the VHSs to teach myself the dance numbers.
Oh, cool.
Because I loved it so much. This kid in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like listening to DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. And I'm like, hey, you guys move. I got to learn his dance number.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that, of course, inspires you to this day, and it inspired you for this film.
Very much so. Very much so.
Those old films.
Yeah.
And I disclaimer to listeners, neither Keala nor I have seen this film yet.
Pretty much.
The Greatest Showman.
But it's going to be so good, you guys. I already know.
So great.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting that I know that you came from, you have said that your mom was the one who introduced you to like R&B, like soul.
My mother was a singer, yeah.
And then your dad introduced you to like classical music, and like he was from England.
He is. My father is from England, and I think there's what was so great about my mother and father, because my mother has since passed. She was just this spitfire of life, and very much artistic and creative. And my father was this total comedian, and sees the joy and the comedy and the sadness and the sorrow in the human condition. And that is basically who I am as a person. It's just a perfect split.
I can see how this informs.
And it drives me nuts sometimes,
yeah.
But you kind of have to learn how to live your life and go with the flow. But yeah.
And so that's where your musical influences came from. But then the musical theater is out of left field, and it was because of those movies?
It was. I mean, I didn't know that there were staged musical productions. I thought they were just films. You know, when I was watching, The Sound of Music, Xanadu for Cry Eye,
cool.
Grease. I was a huge Olivia Newton-John fan. Annie. I mean, all of these shows, when I was growing up, I thought were movies that were musicals. I had no idea that staged productions existed. Yeah. Until I was literally in university. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's how a lot of us are, those of us who are theater, who are thespians, that is sort of how we get hooked, especially on musical theater. It's like, Sound of Music movie for me was like, that's like the reason I am the person who I am today. It's like, it like forms everything about me,
Absolutely.
And it's amazing how you can trace that back.
Same. And it's amazing how many people it affects. Yeah. Through all walks of life.
Totally. It's a community.
Right.
Yeah.
Which speaks mountains about what music does. Yeah. And continues to do.
Yeah, cool. Well, but you've also said that you don't even, this is maybe in an older interview, but you said that you don't consider yourself a musical theater actor as much as like an R&B singer or like a singer.
Not at all.
See, for me, you're a Broadway actor. You're a Broadway actor who sings.
You're really, really kind and stuff. Real kind and stuff. I think what drew me to, because I actually have a degree in Shakespeare and studied a lot of that genre of performance, because I loved it so much.
Okay, see, this makes sense too.
Yeah. And for me, when I was getting the offers to come to Broadway and do regional or do national tour productions, and then come actually into New York City and be able to do sit-down productions on Broadway, that's where I pulled a lot of that from. As much as I was so confused as to why they wanted me to be in this production, I would take the roles that they gave me, and as much as I could create from what they gave me. Especially this last round with Waitress. It was such a collaboration, and we struggled so much because of what the piece meant, that we all wanted to make sure we were true to it, and without getting too heavy into it, but also telling the story of how powerful we are as women, both good and bad, and how amazing that is, and what incredible creatures we really are. I mean, not that guys aren't, but the play was about us.
They aren't. No.
And so it was nice to be able to take Sarah's music and to take Jesse's words and put them into a place and give them life through these characters that I would never otherwise do, ever. Right. And I think that's the whole story of being in a Broadway show, is that when these people create these productions, they're trying to give life to a character. And our only job is to just be empty of ourselves and take whatever we need to take from them and bring it to life so that the stories that need to be told can be told.
That's amazing. Well, and I feel like a lot of people from musical theater don't consider it that actors might have that same intense, very rigorous approach.
A story is a story. Whether there's and I fully agree with you. But a story, no matter what, is a story.
Yeah.
And any kind of communication between a human being, between you and I, or between me and someone else, between me and an audience member, it will resonate.
Yeah.
It will.
Yeah.
If you are fully committed to that story.
Very cool. And so, that the foundation of that was Shakespeare. So you kind of approach everything from like how to do text analysis and do like how to break apart a soliloquy.
What iambic pentameter was, what that meant, what it meant
Which is
to
also music.
Right, very much so.
Yeah.
It's another rhythmic form of speaking. Yeah.
Amazing. I did not know this about you. And so there's this, and there's the R&B.
Yeah.
You're a gospel singer as well.
I guess so.
Is it safe to say?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I wish I could actually be okay saying that. I know that I love to sing gospel music because of how close I relate to that with inside of me and how much I draw from that gospel aspect inside of me to tell stories, whether it's on stage or whether it is, in a film or on a stage where I'm just singing anywhere, because that's where if I can say, quote unquote, my power, which isn't really my power, but my power comes from that, comes from that source.
You're tapping into something bigger than
me.
Yeah.
Very much so at all times, and willingly wanting to.
Well, and I don't know how you do it. I don't know how.
Well, I don't either.
I guess that's part of the magic.
Yeah,
so you don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because, to be fair, I think what makes me want to do that is because of life stories and what I've been through, and because I know that there's another reason why we're all here individually and collectively. And I think that goes without saying for me. And so in order for me to get to that greater aspect of it, I sort of have to get out of the way.
Yeah. What is your faith, if I may ask? And
thank you for asking.
How does that? Yeah.
I was born and raised LDS. I was born and raised Mormon. And though I don't practice anymore, I do not practice anymore. However, I guess, what does that mean, though? You don't practice. There is a basic law of love that exists. And everything else is second or lower.
Totally.
And because that's really all that exists and all that matters. Yeah. And for me, I try with everything in me to function with that every day. Yeah. Every day.
There's religion and then there's spiritual practice.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and I'm always fascinated by how that informs artists, and I think especially singers. I think like you're saying, tapping into that.
I tell you, there's love. As much as there's, storytelling and the spoken word and being in, plays with no music, there is something about a song or a tune that transcends what can be spoken and what can be said.
Totally.
And if it's written well and it's placed in the right place within a story, it pushes that story farther than anybody could ever even imagine possible and reach into the depths of a person that they never thought existed.
Totally.
And that's power.
Yeah, well, I feel like almost especially when you're sitting in a room full of people and kind of breathing the same air and watching that person live.
Very much so.
And think and feel.
It's very intimate. It's a very, very intimate thing.
When I think about that, I think my mind always goes to Les Mis, because Les Mis for me, and you were on Les Mis on Broadway, that show is the example for me of like, I kind of dismiss it when I'm not listening to it. I'm kind of like, oh, it's so big and loud and it's just like emotion. But then, of course, I'm sitting there in the theater and like, my heart is just torn open, like out of my chest. And that's the power of music in that, like the storytelling in the right place.
There is a line at the end of the show, to make a case in point, that says, to love another person is to see the face of God. And that's it.
That's it.
That is it.
That's like the thesis statement
mug, T-shirt, mug, keychain, bumper sticker, hashtag.
Totally.
The end.
It's genius.
That's all the thesis statement of it all.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So La'ie, raised Mormon, you went to BYU and then Utah?
I did go to BYU, Hawaii, La'ie Elementary School. Hey. Then I went to Cocoa High School, Cocoa grad 93. Hey. In Alkhatib stands our alma mater. I'm not singing the whole thing because she's real slow.
No, it sounds great.
Then I went to BYU Hawaii for about 2-3 years, and then I transferred to Southern Utah University to work in their Shakespeare program.
In the Shakespeare, but were you studying music or were you?
I was studying a lot of things.
Yeah.
I was studying theater, music, dance, and French.
Okay.
She was real busy.
Well, was it always acting? It was always going to be, did you have a vision, a dream, or?
That's a good question. I think a lot of the time I would always wake up in the morning and go, I just want to be a backup singer.
Oh, okay.
That's all I
cool.
want to do.
Yeah.
I just want to be a backup singer with my own pair of in-ear monitors.
Ooh.
Which is like a dream come true for me.
That's a great dream.
It's really small, but that's okay.
No, but then you did it, right?
No, I never got to do it. But I got my pair of in-ear monitors. I was so excited. Oh, I can't wait.
Wait, but didn't you work with Gladys Knight?
Yeah, but that was that was, you have to understand, she became LDS. And she has a choir.
Oh, okay.
And at the time when she was beginning that choir, I had an opportunity to sing with them very briefly before I started my commercial theater journey.
Gotcha. Okay.
It. Yeah, in 2003.
And so a lot of that was that road trip from Vegas to LA, where you.
Yeah, I can't believe you know it.
You did open call for Hairspray.
I went to go audition. I think it was beginning of 2003.
Okay.
January of 2003. Drove to North Hollywood with 3 of my other friends. And it's the dream, guys. We barely had gas in the car. Drove there, went and stood in line. We stayed at a Motel 6, which is probably not even there anymore, over on Hollywood and Whitney. I bet you money it's not even open anymore.
Yeah.
We got in line, and I was like, I'm going to be a dynamite. I'm fully going to be a dynamite. It's going to be so great.
Yes.
I don't even look like a dynamite at all. And I got in line, and Bernie was there, and he goes,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he goes, do you know
the
Good Morning Baltimore? And I went like this, no. And then I went, but I'll sight sing it if you want me to. Do you have the sheet music? Because I was fully in there ready to go, if I'm to the 60s.
You knew that
and he was
stuff.
like, no, we don't need that. And I was like, dang it. But they gave me that. And, cut to 8 callbacks later. Yeah. 8 callbacks later, both in LA
Jesus.
and in New York.
And this was the national tour. And Hairspray had just, it was new.
It was. It was brand new. And I became
casting it.
Yeah. And Craig. And I was
cool.
I was cast as a standby. And Carly Gibson was cast as the lead.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then when she transferred over, I think about 6-7 months later, and I took over.
Okay. And that was your introduction to the world of like musical theater, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like full out, yeah.
But then you were also saying, and you had a phase. Is it a phase when you did tech theater and you were behind the scenes? Or is it a passion?
It was kind of, it was twofold. It was sort of something that I had to learn how to come back into society again because I had been on the road for 3 years.
Yeah. Ooh.
And you kind of don't remember how to live real life.
Yeah.
So I sort of took a break from that. And because at the time I was in love with a sound guy.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of wanted to
to
stay in his world. And so I sort of stuck with all that while I was trying to, meanwhile, we never really hung out again. But I was able to sort of get back into my own groove, as it were, and figure out how to, live again. And,
be in one place.
Yeah, for about 2-3 years. And I did it in San Diego. And that local was very kind to me, very kind.
Nice.
They were incredible.
And then how did you get back on? How were you lured back onto the stage?
My mother, I'll tell you, contracted primary peritoneal cancer, stage 3, which is a new cancer that has come out. They call it gynecological because it attacks the abdominal area in a female in an ovarian manner.
Okay.
So it's very, so look that up.
Yeah, really.
She was just in the beginnings of it.
Yeah.
And I was at home waiting for the next sound job to hit in San Diego. And she had this gaping wound, and we were always making sure she was okay. And she couldn't eat because they were starting her on chemo at the same time. And she was like, daughter, because she had a New Zealand accent. She was like, daughter, you can't stay here. You've got to go. And I was
That's
like,
beautiful.
I don't want to go, Mom. She's like, I didn't have you for nothing. You can't stay here. And so I sort of looked around and I found out that they were doing South Pacific in Dallas. And I was like, well, I did that, in community theater somewhere in Vegas. Let me see if I can do it again. And so I called them and they're like, well, it's a touring company. And my heart fell through my hole. I went, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And I sent an email to Craig and he was like, is this your guys' South Pacific? And he replied with sides. He sent me the sides and said...
God, he wanted you to play that.
Yeah, he wanted me to come in. Those guys wanted me to play in.
What is her name? What's the
Bloody
role?
Mary.
Bloody Mary, yeah.
Yeah.
And you knew Loretta?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't at all. She was already doing it at the moment.
On Broadway.
And I was fully engrossed in being a stagehand at that point. Right. I was never to return, which was a joke. Big old joke on my part. So yeah, I got the sides and I came back into New York right before the Tonys that year. And I said, please get me out of here before the Tonys.
Okay.
Because I really don't want to be around here. And we did. And then the Tuesday after that, I got a phone call from both Bernie and Craig saying, okay, well, you're not doing sound and you're not going to understudy Bloody Mary. You're going to play Bloody Mary. And I kind of went, can I call you right back? I got to talk to my mom because I freaked about it all of a sudden.
Sure.
And she just, my mom, who was just cracking me up, man. My mother, if I could be a tenth of who she was, she bent over and sort of picked up a slipper that she was wearing. She sort of threw it at me. She goes, I didn't have you for nothing. Call them back and tell them you're going to take the role. I was like, okay. And I did. And that's how I got back in.
And that's how you got back in.
Yeah, and from that point on, I was still trying to get out. I was like, fine, I'll do this. I'll make some money. I'll get a car, and then I'll leave.
Right.
And then, 6 months in, they would go, well, Keala, we have an audition for you for Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Okay.
And I was like, fine, I'll audition, and then I'll leave. And then I booked it, and I was like, fine, I'll do it, and then I'll leave. Right. And then I got an audition for Hands on a Hardbody, and I was like, oh, come on, you guys.
There it is. Some things are just meant to be.
And I just sort of wrote it, I guess.
And so Hands on a Hardbody... it's one of the first shows I saw in New York, as an East Coaster, and tiny, for listeners who don't know, tiny intimate little musical, literally about a handful of people,
about 10 people, in
who
a
are
truck
trying
contest.
to win a truck by keeping their hands on the truck. That's
One
the
hand.
whole musical.
That's all you have to do.
And Keala Settle had a scene-stealing scene where you had to burst into spontaneous laughter for 5 minutes,
maybe
more?
3,
okay.
max.
And
it
then
depended
launch
on the
into
audience.
a huge gospel number.
Yeah.
And the laughter, I mean, it was extraordinary. It had to come from, I don't know how you explain it, and I have no idea how you do it 8 times a week.
Again, it's one of those things. First of all, if you think I wasn't paranoid every single time I had to do that, it was... my brain was not okay every single time I had to do that. So
you must have had doubts every single time.
Every single time. I mean, a song before. They would be singing the song before.
And you're like...
And I'm all, I can't, I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. Knowing I had to do it and pull it out of nowhere.
Right.
And make it believable. And again, that was another one of those things where it was like, stop thinking about it. Get out of your way and just make it happen. Let it happen. Because clearly you're not going to be able to do it. You're already doubting yourself, so get out of the way.
Open up and
get out of the way.
Let go or whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting. So there was never, it's such a simplistic question, but there was never a memory that made you laugh and then triggered all of that.
Not even close.
No.
It was all, I'm afraid for my life.
You're just,
yes.
This is the thing that I have to do now. It's the thing that the story requires.
Yeah, because the story required it. Yeah.
And then you wail your head off in the song.
That's thanks to Trey and Amanda.
I don't know how you...
That's Amanda Green and Trey Anastasio, man.
Yeah?
Those guys are incredible. They're incredible.
I want to ask, too, about vocal care. How do you sing so beautifully? How do you take care of your voice?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I really don't know. You know what? I'll tell you.
Do you do that thing where you wake up and your voice is just ready to go?
Probably.
That's what Jennifer Hudson said, too. And I was like, how dare you?
Well, I mean, it's a head game, man. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's become something where, not that I'm knocking it, it's just... Some people go to the teachers and go to the lessons and do the, and all that stuff, which is great. Some people need that.
Right.
I mean, for me, I was doing that for a specific amount of time. And when I was on tour, and I remember I was with the guy that I was saying on tour, and we woke up one morning and I looked at him and I was like, I can't my voice is just, you know, he's like, and I can't do it. I don't have it today. I don't think I have it today. And I wasn't even supposed to be at the theater. We were just hanging out there. And he looked at me and he said, Keala, look at Aerosmith. They make billions of dollars on their throats. You're going to be fine. And from that point on, I didn't care anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, getting out of the way, because clearly my worst enemy is me.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Totally.
So yeah, I mean, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not.
If it's not, it's not. And is it the kind of thing too where when it's not there and you got to perform and maybe you, obviously, performers, you have to be judgmental of yourself and you have to hold yourself to a high standard. And when it's not at that standard, do you beat yourself up, or is it about like forgiving yourself and just moving on?
I mean, you could try and beat yourself up. Yeah. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, nobody beats me up better than me.
Well, and I feel like that's as it should be.
Yeah. But again, it's one of those things where you have to continually say, get out of the way. Yeah. Get out of the way. Let it go. Forget it. That's why we have opening nights on Broadway, which again, I can't believe I get to say when you have opening nights on Broadway. Yeah. That's a very cool thing. And I'm very, very grateful that I can relay this story about it.
Yeah.
People get nervous and when we're on stage. And the cool thing for me is that you can go, we already got reviewed, guys.
Right.
We already got reviewed. The critics have been here.
Yeah.
Opening night is for us and for people that want to be here and for our family and our friends.
Yeah, yeah.
And those that helped us try to create this piece for so long.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. You
yeah.
know?
Well, and there's that thing of if you're not present because you're so anxious and in your own head and in your own way, then you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to be present. Well, not just that.
I can't talk to you. Or you can't talk to me because I'm so in my head that I'm not even available to anybody else, you know?
There's no listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very basic thing, but you'd be surprised. I struggle with it nonstop. It's so hard, and I have to call myself on it all the time.
Yeah.
Simply just to be available, not just to myself, but to other people.
Be available.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, God, that's a great way of putting it.
And let me tell you, I wasn't always like that. I had to learn that.
Absolutely.
I had to learn that. And that was not a fun lesson. But, you know, nobody wants to be told, or no one wants to tell themselves, girl, you need to check your ego. Stop having your guns loaded all the time. Stop having a wall up. You know, nobody wants to tell themselves that. But I wanted to work that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Within myself.
Yeah, it's like identifying little voices in your head and like assigning them characters, like making them characters in your head. And then,
it's very much a beautiful mind. It's the exact same thing. You know, when you get to the end of the film, and his wife goes, you know, are they there? What are they saying? And all three of them are just
all there,
waiting for attention, just waiting for that power to take over. And he doesn't give him a thought.
Yeah.
And he looks over and he just says, nothing.
And that takes practice to get there.
Yeah, and it also, you can't do it by yourself. You cannot do it by yourself at all. It is scientifically impossible.
You do it with...
You have to do it through connection and communication.
Yeah, with people you trust.
Yeah.
Friends, family.
But sometimes there are even strangers that you can be in a position and you learn things. Yeah. That's how available you have to be and make yourself available to get out of the way and be able to notice those things.
Well, and I guess in the acting profession, you're working with quote unquote strangers all the time in a way.
Very much so. Yeah. Who become another stranger. So then you all learn how to be that person together. So I become Becky, you know, Jessie becomes Jenna, you know, Jenna learns how to be Dawn, and we all have to learn what that trio is within our space and within the context of the story.
Yeah. The most beautiful thing about Waitress for me was that the three main ladies, they didn't have any they had conflict, I guess, between them, but not. It was never, everyone just loved each other, which seems rare, unfortunately.
That came from the creative team. That came from the creative team. That came from the story.
The all-female creative team.
Yes. Adrian Shelley, may she rest in peace as well. That was all her.
From her
that was because again, there are so many levels to a woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that show captured that.
All of them. Yeah. Right. And I give them credit, all of them credit for that.
I can't stop listening to that album. Listen to it all the time.
It's so beautiful.
Listen to When He Sees Me all the time.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Kimiko. It's amazing.
I know.
I know. That show is still playing. I guess we
It is.
Yeah.
And very well.
Yeah.
Duh.
It's doing really well. Yeah.
Of course it's going to do very well.
You've originated roles on Broadway. I feel like that's sort of rare too, to be able to say that you created roles.
Dude, it's a
joy, right?
It is. It's a joy, and and I'm not kidding you, it's an honor.
Yeah.
Because all you want to do is tell other people, show people anything that they can grasp onto and go, dang, that's me, or dang,
Yes.
Totally. Because that's the idea of storytelling. Well, for me anyway. I mean, for other people, it may not be that deep. I may be the deepest person you've ever had at this point, but you know what I mean? That's what it's all about for me anyway.
And there's an entertainment. Yeah, some people go to just be entertained, probably, and that's fine too.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, you get both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Greatest Showman, I assume, is both.
Oh, it's that and more.
I'm excited.
You have no idea.
You said we said that we
changer.
had to talk about Hugh Jackman.
Oh yeah,
because he's
an egg.
Is he the greatest song and dance man of his generation?
Yes.
I kind of feel like he is.
It's annoying to say, but yes. Let me tell you something. He went on this 2-3 week press tour for Logan.
Yeah.
The beginning of March.
Yes.
End of February, beginning of March.
So 2 big films.
The next day, he was in the tent rehearsing with a cane.
As P.T. Barnum.
Spinning the cane, listening to the music in his beats that are in his ears. And I thought to myself as I sat back, I went, that's another person I want to be like someday.
Right. Totally.
Because he was so in it. And so committed.
Yeah.
I don't know
committed. How he does that. I don't know. The variety of his roles is just
and he wants to. He wants to. Again, because of the storytelling. The aspect of him, and I've looked up to him very much throughout this process, especially with regard to where I want to go in my own life, if I have a place to go. But looking at him and watching him maneuver through his own career and going from not just executive producer to actor to singer to dancer to, comic genius star, comic book, all of that. It's just to watch him do that is so inspiring to someone who, every now and then will go, do I have those options available to me? And him saying, you can do anything you want, Keala. You can make up anything you want.
Of course.
The world is your oyster.
Amazing.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you can do anything you want.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's just...
Yeah, he's fine.
He's fine. He played Wolverine and P.T. Barnum this year.
He's fine. He's just fine.
And it just blows my mind too. He can do the really intense, scary thing.
I know. I saw the film
and the musical theater.
Yeah, but it's true. I saw the film and to be fair, I hadn't seen any of the other ones except Logan.
This is Logan. Yeah.
And I went to go see him when we were back in the tent. We met up back in the tent for rehearsals before we were shooting all the tent stuff. And I said, "You're mean."
Yeah.
Also, you cuss a lot at a child.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Who are you? He's like, they told me to do it.
They told me. And in the movie Les Mis, he's both the brooding, scary, and the singing about my feelings.
Very much so.
Which is why he's that level of
But he
star.
is. He just, again, because he is another one that gets out of the way for the sake of the story.
Yeah.
And
that's what it's all about.
Just so great. It's so great to watch.
And who else is in this movie? You have Zac Efron.
Zach, my little bro.
Zendaya.
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 That's okay. I'll help you.
Oh, boy.
Zach and Zendaya. Zach was such a joy to work with. It was like having my little brother with me.
He's another song and dance man.
He is. Yeah. And he actually, ironically enough, when I ended my run on Hairspray, the tour was when the film started.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and I actually was able to do a cut song from the show on the album.
Oh.
On the Hairspray album.
Of the Hairspray movie album?
Yes, the Hairspray movie album.
I know this.
So we bonded a lot about that. And so it's so fun to have him in my world.
Yeah, cool.
In my wheelhouse. And Zendaya is someone who's actually... She doesn't know it yet, but she will now because I'm about to talk about it. And I told her mom not to tell her this.
I hope she's listening, except I mispronounced her name. But go on.
Yeah, way to go. It's okay. I corrected it. Zendaya is one of those women who is a grandmother. She is a 21-year-old woman, but she's 85 years old.
Oh, cool.
She knows it. She's proud of it. She loves her socks. She loves hanging out with her dog. She loves hanging out with Darnell and her family around her. She is also someone who, while everyone else is on Twitter, posting selfies or, doing social media stuff, she's reading the news and she's getting information to know what's happening in our society and in our world. And she's looking up these stories of kids who are trying to make it through their own lives every day and doing everything in her power to empower them. And
Wonderful.
As I talk about it, I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
I get goosebumps because I'm a 42-year-old woman. And on that set every day, when we were together in the hair and makeup trailer, she would sit in that trailer and keep her music on because I was in the chair for 2.5 hours
to get
for
a
the beard
beard
and everything, and she was done like that.
Oh.
But she would play her music, and we would jam out and harmonize to all this music that was from my age and my era.
Okay.
And I'm going, how do you have this music? Okay, I don't even understand. But all of her older sisters and brothers, or older sisters, I should say, are my age.
Oh, okay.
And so that's where she had all the music from. And
That's
so
why she's an old soul.
She very much so. And
Oh, wow.
I can never thank her enough for making me understand how beautiful I am, if that makes sense.
Lovely.
And I'm not going to cry. I refuse to cry.
I
wasn't going to tell her that, but there it is.
I really do hope she's listening.
Oh, man.
And who else is it? What else do we need to know about the film before we all go see it for Christmas?
It's not so much a biopic of P.T. Barnum,
Sure.
but it is the story of how the circus came to be. Yeah. And the character of who Phineas Barnum, and what made him do the things he did and think the way he thought.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is that it is a massive game changer for our society today.
Cool.
Massive game changer.
It's the story we need now.
It is.
Yeah.
It's time. There's so much not okay stuff floating around, which is the best way I can say it right now without really saying anything.
Totally.
And this film is a massive fireworks show. It is a celebration of everything that we are.
I need that now.
Everything that you could be, that I could be, that your best friend could be, that your mother could be, your father could be. It doesn't matter. Anyone who has ever felt, period, ... felt at all, will be changed by this film. Anyone.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I mean, it changed my life. And continues to.
Yeah.
Because it forces me to look at what I've said on a screen, and kind of go, I guess I have to believe what I sang, or what I spoke,
Cool.
or what I said. And
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to honor that material by believing it.
Right. I don't want to be a hypocrite because, I've already said it and I meant it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then I feel like a lot of that too is spreading that message before the movie comes out. A lot of the job of being a movie star
How dare you? All of these are wrong, but keep going.
is to promote the film, right? There's a lot of that. That's very different from being a Broadway star too. You don't do a press tour for a Broadway show necessarily.
Yeah, but I think it's the same idea though.
Yeah.
I mean, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, for Broadway, we're even more intimate because we're doing it live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
So we're always, if you want to talk about doing a press tour, our press tour is doing 8 shows a week.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah. Doing the
we're
previews,
full
doing the-
out.
yeah, totally.
Full out. And I think for a film, we just get to reach farther than the audiences,
Gotcha.
which I'm very grateful for because as far as this film goes and the message that it has, we need to.
Yeah.
Because
get
it's
it out
time.
There. Yeah, cool.
It's time to celebrate who
great.
we are. It is time.
It feels like it's coming at the right time of
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Just I'm ready.
Yeah.
And what do you know, what does it entail in terms of campaigning? Are you on an awards circuit?
Oh, please. Look, I just want work. I mean, you can. You can if you want, but it's still real awkward.
But as we said, not a lot of people have seen this movie, and it's obviously not out yet, but there's buzz, quote unquote. I don't know how this buzz thing works, but there's buzz surrounding your
performance.
Buzz is
like French for gossip, is basically what that is.
Yeah. People are gossiping about Keala Settle in this film.
Well, this is awkward. But I mean, only because I never know how to do it. But don't be sorry. I need to learn how to deal with that anyway, or not deal with it. Basically, just get out of the way.
And you've been nominated for a Tony Award, so you know that honorific, you know that status.
Yeah, and it's for me, it's just I have run away so long from doing this job.
Yeah,
I have tried so many times. Let me be frank with you. I have run so many times from having this job of telling stories.
Totally.
And for the first time, I have learned what that means and what the ramifications are of telling a good story and being surrounded by people who support me in doing that. And I've also recognized what kind of a difference it makes in the world, if I dare say that, because it has happened.
Sure.
And there are messages that have brought me to tears that I get every day. Some of them are in broken English. Some of them are YouTube videos that they've put a song to dedicate to those who have passed on in honor of them. And to say that, you know, to give them power and to sort of enable themselves to say, well, you can stand up for yourself. It's okay, without being angry, without all the hatred. And that's what I want to do. That's all I want to do, is to be able to continue to work telling those kinds of stories so that people can grab onto that and then spread it like wildfire. Yeah.
And so that's where the promotion of it comes in. You want to reach as many people as you can with that message.
I mean, if the NF campaign is in there, well, that's good.
Right.
I mean, good for y'all. Good for me, whatever. But that's all I want, is to be able to continue to do that. Yeah. Because I have stuff that I'm working on to continue to do that even, you know.
Can we talk about what's next?
Sure. I'm trying to pitch a TV show as a producer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. And
I can't tell you what it's about.
No. And you said that you moved to LA.
I did.
And
a few months ago I did.
And are happy with that decision?
I am. It as much as I love New York and love everything that it's done for me and will probably continue to do for me, hopefully. Speaking.
You'll be on Broadway soon enough.
There's a song that the Don't Forget the Sunscreen song that Baz Luhrmann did. And he was like, move to New York, but move before it makes you too hard. And then live in California and leave before it makes you too soft.
Ooh.
And I needed to leave New York because I was already too hard. And I could tell that it was affecting people around me. And fortunately, the film came at the right time for me to go, I need to go. Yeah. To breathe, not only for myself, but for those that I care about around me. And I did a lot of learning in the past 4 or 5 months. Yeah. I didn't write it, Baz Luhrmann did. Thank you, Baz Luhrmann. And I'm also working on a record.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, of me.
Of you doing your music?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm working with a great, actually pretty famous guy. His name's Greg Wells. And we're in the studio right now doing just an EP of some cover songs.
Okay, cool.
Try and release beginning of next year, hopefully.
And is it going to be like the full Keala repertoire of like musical theater, but also R&B, but also Hawaiian, but also which is it?
No, it's going to be Keala, and you're going to find out.
I'm so
you
excited.
Wish. I know. It's so funny because I'm grateful I have been approached numerous times to say, let's do a musical theater album. Let's do a musical theater album. And I'm like, I would love to, but I don't even know what the heck that means. Because I just don't. No. Because everything that I've done, I mean, is not really... I mean, it's been in the musical theater genre.
Right. Technically,
yeah, technically. But like I don't, I couldn't go in there and go, there were birds on the hill. You know, I couldn't. I mean, I could, but you won't buy it. I'll be the first to tell you.
I would, but.
No, you can't. No. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
And so Greg approached me. He did post-production on the film. Doing sound and mixing and editing. Oh, wow. And he came to me and said, look, I just finished editing your film. Your song, This Is Me, you brought me to tears, you're incredible. And I'm going, you are! I have no idea who you are. And then I looked him up and I went, oh, okay. Oh. He's kind of...
So it really is a family, this film was...
Yeah.
And you've got all these...
Very much so.
All these strong connections now going forward.
Yeah.
And you're going to make music with... That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to hear it.
Thanks, me too.
So Backstage, first of all, did you ever use Backstage? Are you ever familiar with?
I did in Vegas when I lived in Vegas. Actually.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Because our readers are very much interested in the early career acting advice. And I just think of I'm like so romanticizing your road trip to LA to just like do the open call and then you get the lead and you're from Bernie Telsey and like that's maybe not how it usually happens.
Not at all. That's right.
What do you tell people who are in that position who want to do that road trip or something like that?
I mean, you wake up in the morning and you know you want to do it, and it doesn't matter. You'll go broke. You'll Jackie Chan your underwear over and over and over again to do it. You'll do it. You will do whatever it takes to get there.
If you want it hard enough, yeah.
Yeah, nothing will stop you.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened to me. I mean, I would wake up every morning and go, well, I still wake up and want to do this. I still wake up and want to do this.
And you got to just do it. You can't.
There's no shortcuts either.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's the other thing. There's absolutely no shortcuts. Even if you go from point A to point Z in one fell swoop, somehow you will make that time up somewhere in your career. Cool. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. That is okay. All of those things are there for a reason and cultivate who you are as an artist. Yeah. They all do. That's the other thing that I think people need to be reminded of, myself as well. Everything that happens in life cultivates who you are as a performer. In any genre, whatever genre you're, trying to fulfill. Yeah. And I think it's imperative to remember that and be mindful of that. Yeah. When those situations come up, because it's not all, champagne and roses by any account.
No, it's the acting profession. Yeah. It's not. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing is for certain. Yeah. And so I guess you just have to sit there, kind of listening to your gut, and constantly checking in with that cultivation of the self.
Very much so.
And saying, what is the next step?
But also know that with that cultivation, you don't do that by yourself. All of these things require other people. Yeah. I mean, you can sit there and do yoga with yourself forever. And you're going to be the only one who knows what's happening. But you need to be involved with others so that you can hear yourselves talking to other people. And they can hear you and you can hear them. Mm-hmm. It's very much, again, just being available to what's around you.
Yeah, and we are greater than the sum of our parts.
Very much so.
Yeah. This is excellent advice. Thank you. Mahalo nui loa, Keala, for joining us. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe for more interviews from the front lines of the industry's awards races. In the Envelope is recorded at Lotus Productions and Hyperbolic Audio in New York City. Thanks, as always, to producer, editor, and all-around podcast whiz, Jamie Muffett. You can follow him on Twitter at JamieMusicNYC. You can follow me, Jack Smart, on Twitter at JackSmartWrites. Thank you, of course, to the team at Backstage, the most trusted name in casting. That's Peter Rappaport, Mark Stinson, Francis Ramos, Rawaan Alkhatib, and especially the astounding Kasey Howe. For more awards and industry coverage, head over to Backstage.com. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time for another glimpse in the envelope.
Because some people get mad when you take your shoes off over here.
At the door, I know. I'm now in the habit of keeping my shoes on all the time.
I know, weird. Right? You're like, never mind, fine. Let me dirty your
so
carpet.
Weird. I know. And then I call them sleepas, and people are like, "What?"
I know, they
bedroom
don't know.
Slippers. My friend from Jamaica also calls them sleepas, and I'm like, it's every islander.
That's because they know.
Island.
Yeah.
They don't call
or
it
the locals ones.
The F word, the flip flops. That's not what they call.
F word.